Great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what you have here today, Nick. That's what you've earned here today. One meeting.
Hey, what are you doing? You giving me the Kurt Russell speech from the movie Miracle?
It's applicable to what we're doing. I mean, it's not like I'm going to come up with something better than that.
Welcome to What the Flick, everybody. Ben Mankiewicz, Alonso Duralde, the DVD editor of Movie Line. The dilemma.
Well, Vince Vaughn and Kevin James are best friends. They're about to make the biggest sort of work presentation that they've ever had to do. And while they're on deadline and going crazy, Vaughn sees James's wife, Winona Ryder, kissing another guy.
Cheers. We got the deal. When it comes to couples, they're my hero.
Honey, you hear that? Ryder just told Bethlehem his hero. Come on, buddy. Every kid wants to dance with his hero.
Okay, this is completely out of context. I just saw my best friend's wife with another man. You gotta go right up to him and you gotta say it to him. Nick, here's the truth. You're gonna be okay. I love you, my man. Come here.
Why is that man hugging himself?
Just keep walking.
I saw it all, Geneva. I'm gonna tell him.
I'm gonna deny it, and then I'm gonna say you made a pass at me.
What is this movie? Is it a comedy?
I wish the movie knew, you know, because there are some very funny moments. The bit with the second cousin made me laugh. But then there's that scene in the diner with Winona Ryder where he confronts her and she says, well, I'll lie and say that you made a pass at me. And then she even does this whole sort of like, it's like the reverse Meg Ryan, where she does this sort of tearful thing, like how she's going to convince
to
Kevin
scare
James.
him off.
Exactly. And that's almost like, oh, okay, so this is a Neil LaBute movie now. Like it's about, you know, modern relationships. But then it kind of walks away from that. Then they don't really explain why he can't tell Jennifer Connelly what's going on. So of course, everybody thinks now that he's a compulsive gambler again. And
yeah, and the compulsive gambling is never fully established as a real thing that was a real significant problem.
Well, they call it up occasionally.
No, it's called up, but you never buy it as a thing that's plagued him in its life.
No.
It never feels authentic.
And then it's hard to talk about what's wrong with this movie without giving away a lot of stuff, and I'm not going to. But it definitely feels like they're sort of throwing out ideas and then not pursuing them.
Right.
And then by the
that's what I mean by the gambling. It never nothing feels followed through.
And the way the movie ends are kind of like, oh well, okay, so I guess we're not going to talk about this anymore. And also the problems in the Kevin James Winona Ryder marriage. Not to give anything away, but it's not all her.
Right.
But the movie kind of pretends that it is because they sort of gloss over his part in all this.
Yeah, and they never fully explore that because they infer that they don't infer, they even expressly tell you that there are problems with both of them, but they never do anything with that. There's a lot of telling you things and then not doing anything with it. Never follow. There's really
it doesn't have the courage of its convictions or something, but it presents the idea of a more interesting and ambitious and complicated story and then runs screaming from doing any of that stuff.
And there are some funny moments in it.
Yeah.
And then there are some dramatic moments in it. I thought that scene in the diner with Winona Ryder and Vince Vaughn was pretty good.
Yeah,
actually.
totally.
And then Jennifer Connelly, who, you know, gives real gravitas to a lot of movies that she's in, and I thought she did here. I thought if that had been a lesser actress in that role, it really would have taken away from the movie because I thought she had some very nice scenes with Vince Vaughn. But not enough. And then there was even a moment at the end, and I won't give it away, where I was actually really surprised by a turn that took with them. But again, it seemed frequently out of place with the rest of the movie and fairly arbitrary. But I thought they had some very nice dramatic moments in the movie.
You almost want to go in and re-edit this movie, like shoot some bridging scenes that aren't there because the tone's all over the place because it's like there is that dramatic scene between Vince Vaughn and Winona Ryder, and then you've got this sort of wacky slapstick with Channing Tatum.
I forgot.
Who seems to have come in from a whole other story because I mean his character is such a cartoon. It's an odd duck of a film.
It does, and the scenes with Vince Vaughn and Kevin James at work with their big deal and trying to invent this new kind of electric car that still is kind of a manly electric car.
Right.
You know, they talked to each other. They never talked to each other. The whole idea is, do you tell your best friend that his wife is cheating on him?
Right.
But they never actually felt to me like they were best friends.
No, and I think you almost feel like they wanted Jon Favreau.
Right,
you know, and they wanted them to do their thing, and they couldn't get fat. We're like, okay, who's the other fat guy? Oh, Kevin James, you know, and it's not, they don't have the same thing going on. And ultimately what's annoying about The Dilemma is that the movie pretty much acknowledges that there's no good or easy answer to the pickle that Vince Vaughn is in, you know.
Yeah.
But then the movie still sort of judges him anyway for doing the wrong thing.
But I don't think he did the wrong thing.
No, exactly.
Right.
And the movie even kind of is sort of implying that, well, there's no right thing, but still they treat him as though he'd done the wrong thing
there's
anyway.
a line, I don't think we're giving it away, when Jennifer Connelly says, you know, you were essentially a good friend, but you were such a schmuck in the way you handled it, something like that. And I thought, no, he wasn't.
Yeah,
and you spent the whole movie telling us
that he is not.
Right,
yeah.
that he's not.
And I think, and also you can tell they were trying to go for the whole thing where, in his attempt to sort of keep the secret or, you know, do things in his way, that he keeps getting sort of physically punished, like the poisonous plants and the falling off of things and getting hit.
beat up, yeah.
Yeah, but they didn't, like, that's a comedic avenue you can pursue, but they kind of back off it. Like, they don't give him any sort of lingering scars. Like, if this were a Blake Edwards movie, he would be like, by the end of the movie, he'd be in a full body cast.
Right,
you know, like they would just add to the things, and more stuff would happen, and the more bandages, and but you know,
lack
they
of
don't go that
commitment
way.
in all directions. But that said, last thing I'll say before we give our ratings, unless you have something to say, I don't want to necessarily put the final stamp on it. But considering what we just said for the last 5 minutes, I don't know why I didn't hate it more. Like that said, it didn't commit to anything. But it's not. I wasn't like dying for it to end.
Yeah, there are little pieces of it that work, but they just
there
don't.
were some funny moments and there were some dramatic moments.
Yeah.
They just seemed like they belonged in separate films.
Absolutely.
And what did you think? What's your number?
I'm going to go 5.5, just because it wasn't a complete fiasco, but it just doesn't deliver anything that it's supposed to.
Seems a peculiar movie for Ron Howard, who's done so many movies that I like so much, to have directed.
Yeah, what was his last funny movie though? Splash.
You know, I don't know whether you love it. I love The Paper. I love The Paper. It's one of my favorites.
It's got its moments.
Nails journalism. It has moments. It's like an hour and 40 minutes of it. I gave it a 5.5 too. I mean, it's you know, it's a little better than average.
Right.
So 1 5.5, another 5.5. That comes to an overall rating of 5.5
Get your
times
calculators
2.
out.
That's 11 divided by 2. 5.5. Our overall rating for The Dilemma. Oh, sorry. One quick thing.
What?
If a dilemma is when you have two choices for a situation, I think that when you have a situation for which there is only one choice that you have to do, but you don't really want to do it, but there's no choice, it should be a lemma. But I mean,
that joke was a lemon.
No, it's not a joke. It's a real thing. Like last night, I had to go see the 12:01 showing of The Green Hornet. It's the only time I could see it. I didn't want to, but I had to. It was like, I'm in a real lemma. I got to.
So if it were on 3 screens, it would be a trilemma?
Yes, it would be a trilemma.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's not a joke. It's a real thing.
Okay.
I'm trying to move the language
You're
along.
stretching it to the breaking point, but I'll give you that, I suppose.
Just trying to help people out. All right, 5.5 for The Dilemma. The Dilemma.
The Dilemma.
A slight recommendation. Thanks for watching.